Freddy says, Tom, I have tried a new tool and I want to switch. If you want to switch, this is the video for you, because here you're gonna learn what to consider when you're switching tools, how you build up your tool stack, how to optimize your tool stack and things like that. So that's not only about saying these are the tools you should use, because I cannot know what tools you're using. So it's key to understand your specific use case that you have, and only depending on this you can build the perfect tool stack that works best for you. There's no YouTuber out there or any other creator in the world who is able to tell you this is the best tool for your productivity. And you will see during this live session that there are several tools in combination that probably make up the best productivity system for you. But let's start from the beginning, and the beginning is here on a blank canvas, and we help you to get started. So now this is inside the membership, and if you're a free member as well, it doesn't matter what tier you're on, you can start the ICOR journey for free. And in this ICOR journey, there's the section where we teach you the ICOR framework, and that's exactly what we will use now to lay out the tools that we use at the Paperless Movement as well. So here's the description, there's a guide. Again, it's everything for free, and all we need is this ICOR framework. So I will just copy this image and bring it over into Miro, because that's the tool that you just saw previously with the blank canvas. This is it, okay? Miro is one of the tools we will talk today about, but that's the tool I also use here to describe what we use these tools for, okay? And in order to start this, we will start with the ICOR framework. And for those who don't know what the ICOR framework is, I will quickly what it is. And if this is not enough explanation to you, feel free to join the membership for free, or if you're already a free member, go to the section and then start watching the lesson where we dive into this in more detail. So very quickly, and I think it is actually best explained if I go back to the membership, to the section, because here we have additional images that show you certain parts. Here, there we go. Okay, so the ICOR framework is split into 4 parts, and this side of the ICOR framework is actually your personal part of your productivity system. And when we say personal, it is all related to personal work. So everything we do at the Paperless Movement and in the ICOR methodology is related to work and not your personal life like your grocery list. However, we only do this so you can stay focused on your work bubble and understand the optimization processes that you do, which will then naturally go into your personal life, and you will start doing this as well. You will see later on that the tools that I share is just a fraction of the tools that we use in our overall life. And when I say we, Paco and me, Paco our co-founder, but I come to this later. So this is the personal part of the ICOR framework. That's the business part of the ICOR framework. This is the knowledge management part of the ICOR framework. And this is the project management part of the ICOR framework. So if you zoom in here, PKM, this is the part that most people talk about on YouTube and all over the place when it comes to productivity. Everybody talks about your personal knowledge management system, PKM. And as you can see, this is just 1 out of 4 parts that we consider builds up a productivity system end to end. So it goes far beyond, and that's why we say that ICOR is the most comprehensive productivity method when it comes to holistically looking at your productivity system if you're a busy professional, right? So maybe as a single knowledge worker or employee and you just have a few tasks here and there that you can tackle, then this part might be enough for you to grow your knowledge base. But when it comes really to get organized and get things done, and you're overloaded between meetings and too many tasks and things like that, then this is not enough. You have to look further, and that's where the personal project management, or commonly known as task management, comes into play. That's the second part. And now we are still in the personal space, right? So now here, that's the business space. So here we have the business knowledge management, and that's the knowledge that you share with the team. But here be aware, if you have no team and if you're a solopreneur, this still applies to you. By getting the mindset that you are sharing stuff out of your personal knowledge management with anybody, right? This gives you already a better understanding of separating information into different places when we talk later about single source of truth and things like that. It will get easier when we start adding tools to this map, and that makes more sense for you. So let's just move on here to BPM, which is the business project management. That's the area where people do the project management. And that's something that in corporate or in business in general, people talk about project management, but they don't talk so much about business knowledge management. And that's That's one of the biggest issues. And if you follow my experience in the history, you know, there's a video on YouTube as well where I talk about my experience in corporate, working there 8 years and climbing the ladder and things like that, and implementing ICOR in several companies, actually in hundreds. This is what is lacking in most of these companies. It doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter the size of the company. That's something that most people struggle with. And in fact, Asana, the project management tool, right, the company behind them, they made a study, I think, I don't know, in 2019, where they figured out that 60% of the workday people are doing work about work. And mainly they mean by this searching for information, asking for information, interrupting other people in order to ask for information and things like that. So imagine that you could speed up things with finding information quicker, how much time you not only save for yourself and for your team, but how much easier work will be together because the interruptions will stop as well. And that's in fact something that I implemented many times, and that's what you now learn in ICOR. So if you want to learn more about ICOR in general, that's the ICOR journey. So once you laid out your tool stacks, here is a section also accessible for free where you can start sharing your ICOR frameworks, and you can see here we have hundreds of members already having shared their ICOR frameworks with their tool stacks, and that's what we will now lay out on the tool stack as well. And this already gives great clarity, but if you want to go beyond, then you go through the ICOR journey where you per course learn the digital note-taking part of your productivity system, the PKM part, the task management parts, the project management part, automation part, and then you went through ICOR. ICOR stands for Input, Control, Output, Refine, and defines a productivity system end to end, or as we say, ICOR, where information meets action. It's all about making information actionable. So let's go back to our map and let's start adding tools. And I thought it is a good idea to start on the blank canvas and have just this, because this shows that there's no need to prepare anything in order to show you that our methodology works and how this works and how we also work with our clients in the inner circle, cohorts, and so on. So let's start with the first tools very quickly. Checking something, one moment. Window. And by the way, if you wonder what I'm using here to show Miro and this sidebar, this is actually the Arc browser. That's something Paco and I switched from Chrome to Arc very early on. It's now also available on Windows. We are not sponsored by any tools that you will see today. We might have some affiliate links in the description below, but they didn't pay us to make these videos. We are just using these tools because we are convinced, and I will give you the reasoning now on the ICOR framework why we are using these tools. Does it mean that you should use these tools? Certainly no. And I will also give a warning for certain tools that we use that you shouldn't use these tools later on. We will start dragging now into this picture, which is on Miro, okay, the tools. And I have here the Finder, okay, and that's again making things more efficient as I keep using over and over the same tools. And I'm talking about these tools. Obviously, I have a folder with the tools that I mostly use and talk about. As you can see, if I switch through them, there we go. And then all the same size. And that's when you wonder, where do I get all these fancy logos from? I put in the effort and made a Photoshop where I made up all these tools. And whenever there's a new one, I will add this to the stack. So it's always a single source of truth when I have to look up app logos. And let's start with email management. I think that's something a lot of people are struggling with, and I want to show you this first because it perfectly describes also what's the difference between core applications and satellite applications, okay? That's a crucial distinction that makes it so much easier for you guys to search for new tools and replace tools, and maybe not so fast replace other tools, which are the core applications in this case. So in our case, we are on Google. We are running on Google Workspace, the paperless movement, and therefore we are on Gmail. And now let's first think about where we place Gmail on this ICOR framework. I explained already the different areas in the beginning, okay? So thinking about email, there's a difference between personal and business knowledge management. So maybe you say, that's my email account. Obviously, that's my personal knowledge management, right? All the information that I get there is my personal information. Maybe it is this case in the beginning, yeah, when you think about it. But when you think further, and then no matter if you're solopreneur or working with a team, you probably have in business interactions with other people on the outer world, or you have interactions with your team, or you're maybe freelancers working for you, anybody. Then this becomes a business knowledge management system, okay? So the thing is, we consider email only for personal knowledge management the moment you subscribe to newsletters, okay? That's something you, in your inner world, you're interested in. But the moment you interact with other people via email, it becomes your business knowledge management system. So you have exchanges with people on the outside. Again, your suppliers, your clients, anything like this. You send out contracts. You do so much via email that you might not be conscious. So that's why this becomes a business knowledge management system, because where do you go when you try to find that invoice again? You would go to your email where you received the invoice and search for this, and therefore it's a BKM system as much as it is a PKM system for your newsletters, anything that you do personally in there. This way, we have the overlaps on the ICOR framework. So you see the two icons here that we have for personal knowledge management and business knowledge management are represented here, shows the overlap. However, if you go to our website, paperlessmovement.com, and you go to tools we use here on top, okay, there you see the whole ICOR framework and the tools that we laid out. So here's the little teaser or spoiler, if you like, all the tools that we will talk about. And there you see it is not placed here. It is actually placed here. So why is this? It is placed here, okay? And there we have this symbol which represents the personal project management. And this is because you're doing task management in your email. And now you can say, man, I follow second brain rules or whatever. And you start sending every email that comes into you, the related app, in order to follow up later and things like that, which we don't think that is necessary more in a moment. But it is your task management tool. So the moment you go through the emails, and we will do this together in a moment because I have a little surprise here, right? The moment you go through the emails, you will start answering emails directly. There are emails that it's just not worth sending elsewhere. You just reply directly. And this is doing work inside your emails, and therefore it is your task management system, because you're working through a list of items and either you send them to a different tool or you reply to them. So that's why we consider that email is also personal task management. If you would use something like, I don't know, Intercom or Missive and things like that, where you work together in there, it might become more complicated, but it's still not a project management tool. So it would end up in the center. And you will see, I haven't seen any tool ending up in the center. We have many members who might start with adding a tool to the center, which represents that this tool is the one and only that works for all these areas in your productivity system. But by thinking about this a bit closer and deeper, everybody comes to the conclusion they are placed somewhere else. And this shows you the gaps, okay? Because adding now the Gmail here, we know that these three areas are covered, and we already know just by having this map now, this area is empty, okay? But obviously Gmail is not everything in a productivity system. And I want to just quickly go to a comment that I see here from Jeremy coming in. He says, I spend around $100 a month for my productivity stack. Is this considered a good amount or excessive? And actually, I was talking to Paco recently, and we thought we need to make a video where we talk about how much we are spending for productivity tools per month. And you can easily add another digit to the 100 here. We are spending more than 1,000. I have to bring everything together. What we're spending per month only for the productivity tools. I'm not talking about any other systems, only productivity tools. And this sounds excessive. However, and I hope with this video you will realize this more as well. And he is actually listing here Superhuman, Todoist, Sansama, Reclaim, Asana, Mem, and Evernote. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, a lot of things that you list there are tools that we are using too. And we will start with Superhuman, because Superhuman is the perfect example. People say, are you crazy paying, what is it in the meantime, $40 per month for email management software? Why the heck do you do this when you can do Gmail for free? And that's where we have to start thinking a bit outside of the box in order to understand why it's worth spending so much money. And if you feel that you are losing money, then there's no need to use all these tools, because you don't know why you're using them. It's a perfect indicator. When you say, I'm losing money every month because I'm spending too much on productivity tools, then they don't make you more productive, because if they would, then you would earn a lot more per month, because you're able to free up time to work more on what matters and therefore make more money per month, and no need to think about how much a tool costs. And that's our belief in this. Never get a tool just because there's a hype around it and you have the feeling that you also have to use the tool. At the same time, there's also the other movement where everything needs to be free, which we don't believe in. A tool needs to be properly supported, and therefore it needs to be also paid. So let's bring in Superhuman. Here it is. And Superhuman is an essential part of our tool stack. However, this is now where the difference between core apps and satellite apps come into play. I place Superhuman here now. Why do I do this? I do this because Gmail is a core application. And the only way you need to think about this is if somebody would take away your Gmail or Outlook account or whatever email client you have tomorrow, you would probably have an issue, especially if you're a professional, right? A business owner working in a business, you would lose access to your emails. And for most of us, it's even decades of email archive that you have there. And whenever you would try to find something from the past, you probably go to your email client in order to find this. And therefore it's a core application, and therefore it's crucial to keep it at all cost. It's not easy to switch now from Gmail to Outlook without leaving a lot of information behind. So you have to make an informed decision. There might be reasons to move on, but it will have a proper impact if you remove the email client. However, with Superhuman, for example, this is just hooking into my email client and representing my emails in a different way. So I can work through my emails in a different way and become a lot efficient if you know how to leverage Superhuman. And then obviously you will also understand why it's so expensive, or you see it worth paying for Superhuman, for example. But maybe it's not the thing that you need. The thing is, maybe you start using Superhuman and you hate it. You don't like the UI or whatever, and you want to use something like Spark or Newton Mail or so many other alternatives out there. So now you can very quickly replace Superhuman with Spark. Nothing will happen. Your workflow might suffer, but maybe you haven't had any workflow, but your information will stay intact. So a satellite app is something that you can use that can be quickly replaced. It is just a tool that enhances another tool. It takes the information from that tool and represents it in a different way. Analytics tools as well, hooking into your data and consolidating data and things like that. Those are considered satellite apps, okay? So that's a crucial understanding, because by just knowing that, it gives you already now a way to make informed decisions about what tools you can easily switch in your productivity system and what tools you better leave alone, okay? And you will see the tools that we will add here. It's not something obvious like the Gmail account. Okay, so Superhuman and Gmail, and I think it's now about time to go into our Superhuman, and I show you something how we use Superhuman versus Gmail. And you see here on Arc, I have Superhuman there, and it says 81 unread emails. Tom, you're the productivity guru. Why the heck do you have all these unread emails? And also, when we go to the membership, there's also the email management like a pro course. And in this, we show you 50 plus unread emails. There's a lesson where I show you whenever you have too many, how you get back on track very quickly. But also the whole course is actually showing you how to keep inbox zero at any time. There we talk about the triage workflow, right? Maybe what I mentioned before, that if something is less than 2 minutes and how to proceed, and the execution workflow, then that's why we consider this actually being task management that you do into your email. Okay, so all these things are explained in the course, and now you see here 181 unread emails. Okay, here this is Superhuman. Let's go to Gmail, and this is how it looks in Gmail. It's the same account. We are here on Tom Solid at Paperless Movement, and this is the email account in my Gmail. And now Gmail tries to split things into different sections automatically, and that's something I hated since day one, by the way. I want to have control over that. But obviously now you could say I can have these different sections here, and I can start adding labels, and you cannot imagine all the things that I already had in the past when I was working in corporate, where we also used Gmail. So this is how the email account looks here. Now I could start working through this, clicking here and start reading. And now in the meantime, we can also use a lot of keyboard shortcuts, so things go faster for sure. I also like all the integrations. That's something that is a downside using something like Superhuman, as you don't have all these nice integrations. But still, the speed I will go through all these emails individually in Superhuman is just a different game. Also curious, right? The inbox says 27 emails, while in total I have a lot more, as you saw, 181, if you add all these things together. So if I go back to my inbox here, you see also 100 in my inbox, but also even more in all the split inboxes as they are called. Okay, and that's one of the superpowers, and I can very quickly show you. I use my keyboard here. I can go with my arrow keys up and down through my emails. Okay, then I can open up this. That's insane how much nonsense emails you get over the day that you have to go through, like this one. I don't need to know that I'm live right now, so obviously I can go here. That's in German. I could deactivate this, but instead I know already that's live. I'm just hitting the E key on my keyboard. Boom, it's done. It's done. Okay, I think that's already a big difference, and that's why we say it's a task management tool, because you set things to done in your Superhuman. Here is the done. Okay, for everything there's a keyboard shortcut. You click there and here are all the done things. Okay, and here's this thing. So this means I'm working myself through the whole email inbox. And why do I have all these emails? I said I will keep these emails coming until we have this live stream, because I want to show you how I quickly go through the things. Because the key is, it doesn't matter if you have an overdue task sometimes. It doesn't matter if your calendar might be a mess at some point. It doesn't matter if your email inbox has 1,000 emails. As long you know the tool agnostic workflows and concepts to get out of this and to keep control over things, that you still know what's going on. This might happen for several reasons, right? Maybe you're on holiday, maybe you prioritize something different, maybe you're in a deep work, in a sprint for the whole week. Who knows what the reason is? But the key is, once you got to the point with the inbox 0 in this case, that you know exactly how to get back, or at least with all these things, that you know if there are any important emails coming in, how to treat them. Okay, so let's go through this quickly. BuddyBoss team. Okay, BuddyBoss is a thing that I used for the website in the past as a membership. So I think, why the heck are they writing again? Okay, I can open this up, read. See, that's the thing that we had in Gmail, and now I like the focus. I had just hit enter, I opened the email, and now I have the full focus on this one email without the distraction of the other emails. I hit escape to go back. So either I go into this to read it, or I just simply hit E to make it done. But in this case, I just want to unsubscribe. So in this case, I'm hitting Command and K, and this opens up the command bar. And now I can say unsubscribe. And I just started uns, and it already shows me unsubscribe. Or instead, it shows me then now the keyboard shortcut. And that's what I love about tools like Superhuman. It always encourages you to learn the keyboard shortcuts. Okay, it's always worth learning this. So now, instead of doing the Command K, I'm still here on the email, right? So I go up and down, and I hit Command U, and now it opens up the unsubscribe. And I love this. It's not just unsubscribe. I also unsubscribe and mark done all from community at BuddyBoss, or unsubscribe and trash all from community BuddyBoss. So in this case, I will set them to done. And now, if it happens, I know in this list that's the only email from BuddyBoss. If you have thousands of emails, and maybe there's one newsletter that is really sending you emails over and over again, this is the way to do it. Unsubscribe and mark all of them done. It warns you what will happen, and then you confirm this. And now you see pending mark done, but this is gone and everything is fine. Same here, Goalscape. Yeah, we love Goalscape. We use it for yearly planning and keeping the overview of things. I'm not going into Goalscape in this video because this is going beyond what most people need. And I will just unsubscribe and make the same thing. So no matter where the Goalscape is, all the Goalscape emails are gone. Okay, so TimeStripe, that's actually really interesting, because TimeStripe, I knew when they started the first version of TimeStripe, that's an interesting tool for goal tracking and rather for personal stuff. And they launched TimeStripe 3.0. I remember they launched the alpha version, and now I'm in 3.0. I want to keep this, but right now I have no time, and I'm in and that's the key. What we see later, we are in the email processing mode. I want to go quickly through my email to get on top of things and understand what matters and what doesn't matter, and not work on my emails. That's key, because if I'm now going here, and it's so easy now to click the link and then do this and this. So instead, I have a bunch of emails I have to go through, and I have no time for this. Therefore, I will hit H, and I can very quickly say, when do I want to see the email again? And that's how you postpone emails or snooze emails, something you can also do in Gmail, but it's so much quicker in Superhuman, because again, I just hit H and I say next week, boom, on Monday it will reappear because they have a fresh start. Yes, maybe when I end up going through this, I end up on Monday with 10 emails that I snooze. But what the heck? I know I want to do something with it. I delay it to another time block where I process my emails, and then I can think more about what I will do with this. But if I would say send this now to another tool, I need to organize this then in another tool. So I keep it in my email management system. No need to move it on. Yeah, remarkable. Keeps telling me that it updated the terms and conditions. And maybe some of you know my thoughts about the remarkable. It's still here. I think it is less efficient than a piece of paper, and I won't change my thoughts about this. Also, the remarkable 3 didn't change anything in my thoughts, and that's why this is the moment where I now unsubscribe. And see, here there's no way to unsubscribe, interestingly. I just can't block it. That's something I won't do because maybe there's a reason why they reach out. And so in this case, I will just hit E in order to make it done. Okay, Slack. I will unsubscribe from Slack because recently, okay, that's also not possible, but recently we finally moved from Slack completely to ClickUp. We had Slack, and you saw it probably in the website as part of our tool stack. After 7 years using Slack for team communication, we finally stopped using it because ClickUp Chat gives us all the features that we needed and that we used in Slack, including notifications from other tools and things like that. And that's why we eventually killed Slack. You can always hit / and then you can search for things, and I can say now Apollo, and it shows me all the Apollo things. I can say from, and now it shows me all the things from Apollo. I hit Command A, select everything, and hit E. And it says this might take a while, and it sets everything to done. Now, when I go back, see, it starts disappearing. And see, there are still a lot of pending markdown, but you see all these emails that are immediately gone that I would have manually moved out of the way. And that's the superpower of Superhuman, in my opinion. Also, Bitly, I don't care about these things. So unsubscribe, confirm, Slack, and so on. So obviously in the email management course that I showed you previously, I go a lot deeper into how to use Superhuman, all the features, how to set up these split inboxes, because that's also something interesting. So for example, this Vimcal, okay, that's actually a newsletter. Is it? Yeah. I can again hit Command K and say split, and now I can add this to a split inbox. I say, should it be the sender? Okay, yeah, so it should be the sender. Now I can choose the split inbox and say newsletters, and now it moved all the Vimcal newsletters. Here it's appearing, and that's something where you also very quickly can move things out, because the moment I hit tab, I can go through the different split inboxes. And here, for example, website notifications. Look at this, 48 website notifications that are just telling me free members joined, people unsubscribed, things like that. And 48 emails on top of my inbox here. Imagine, this is cluttering up your inbox and makes less and less focused. So a lot of things that I see here, I eventually would actually move to newsletters, to website notifications, things like that. Not manually, once, and then in the future it will only appear in these boxes. And that's where you have separate inboxes. And now I can simply select all, hit E, and that's it. And I can still receive these notifications. It doesn't matter. And I think that's very helpful. So invoice is the same thing, very powerful, because all this I'm receiving is now ending up in the invoice inbox. This is a workflow that I have to send these invoices to our accounting team. And I will just go in here, right? Hit F, again, just a keyboard shortcut, and send it to our accountant. Boom, out. She will receive this. She knows that if she just receives a PDF, she uploads this to the system and it's paid. And that's how I can very quickly go through all these emails. Here again, I see, whenever I see a PDF is there, I just hit N, F, boom, done. See how quickly I'm doing this. But this is batching my work now. Okay, if you know the ICOR methodology in the task management, like a pro course, there we talk about batching work. That's here. And there you learn everything about how to batch work. And then also in the workflows, you understand the routines when you do the batching. And this makes you so powerful because you're completely focused now in the accounting workflow. And boom, 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 boom. I send all these invoices at once. And that's it. And this is what you learn in ICOR that streamlines your processes so easily. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going through all the things. Again, notifications, I don't care. I select all of them and say, okay, I might care more if I have less in my inbox, but if I have so many things in my inbox, then I select them all and set them to done, because in case something comes up that would have been relevant, I have always the option to go to my archive or search. And now also something that we even talked about is AI, right? So I can ask AI and what's, you see the button right? Oh no, I'm in front of it. So let's share everything. So here we go. Okay. And make this a bit bigger. What's the last invoice from Score app? Let's see how good it works. But this is working very well. It's not only the search. That's something I don't use so much because the normal search is usually more than enough. But here you see the last invoice from ScoreApp is dated error, blah, the invoice number, blah, blah, blah. And here I see the sources. I see the email. I click, it opens up the email that I just forwarded to Miriam, as you just have seen live, okay? It perfectly found this. I could have said, show me the last 3 or whatever. And this is so powerful. But now let's also quickly pretend that we are sending a reply to somebody. So if I hit reply and I say Command J, I can quickly write a draft. Hey, this is great. Can you please update the address or whatever, okay, of this invoice. I hit enter and I is not only now writing me an improved version of what I have written, but also takes into consideration what is actually in the email thread. And that's the big difference to ChatGPT. I'm a heavy ChatGPT user because I love using this to double check things. However, here with the context of the email thread, I keep using Superhuman and AI, and it's also accessible on mobile. I thought it was very important to take a bit more time in this part because this shows really the difference between a core application and a satellite application, and why, in my opinion, it's totally worth paying for a satellite application in order to represent the information from the core application in a way that makes me so much more efficient to work through, in this case, my emails. Miro, okay? Miro, the tool that I'm using here, and you see actually from my previous live stream, I talked about the timeline of note-taking apps and so on. If you want to watch this, it's on YouTube now. Miro is a tool that I started using in corporate as one of the first, and then the whole company started using Miro as well, where I laid out project work. And I cannot share this on live stream because it's sensitive information, but usually inside the inner circle in the closed area, I show this then, how I was able to increase project performance by 40%. With the same headcount, in fact, with less headcount even, and cross-department work globally. And the only thing I did there was laying out the processes on Miro and then talking with the different departments how we can improve this. There is a video where I talk about all the story and I go into more detail also on YouTube. This being said, this was the beginning of using Miro, and since then I'm using Miro to explain nearly everything because it's so easy to use. It's also on iPad. You can even use your pen in order to draw and things like that, as you can see here. But this is it. Also, the ICOR journey cohort. If we go quickly to the website, there's the ICOR journey cohort, and this gives you full access to the membership for life, but also our cohort workshops. Okay, so here's the workshops that we will do. And if you join this, we will go through, let's keep scrolling. If you can go to the website and read this slowly. But here we have 7.5 hours of coaching with Paco and me, where we do live workshops. And these workshops will run on Miro. Okay, because there are so many things that are not only for concept work, but actually for team collaboration workshops. You know, you see all the fancy things where you can do all the things. And I cannot wait to have hundreds of our members on these maps, and we will have some amazing sessions here and breakout rooms, and where we build together these tool stacks, exactly what we're doing here now. And this will be an amazing time. So if you haven't already signed up, I know that we are now already over 170 people in this cohort, and people keep coming in, especially as we are running a discount until December the 31st, where you can save $200 to get the lifetime access and the cohort access. And by the way, all the future cohorts are included as well. So that's amazing to see all you guys coming in. And yeah, we cannot wait to start this in January. But this being said, this will also run on Miro. And it's a very robust corporate tool where many people say it's overkill. But I was using it personally for so many things. And let's see. As I said, I'm very transparent today, as usual, not only today. Here we are in Miro, and here you probably see a lot of things. Let's go to brainstorming, for example. There are some things, but I'm sure if I go to ICOR, look at this, January 12th. Let's even go further back. There's archive. And if I go even further down, look at this, 2020, Asana versus Click versus Mono. Let's see what this looks like. I thought about the different tools. Oh man, that's interesting. Yeah, look at this. Here, I looked into the different tools, thought about automations and ClickUp. right? Amazing. 2020, 4 years ago, still accessible. Everything is still there. I can click here. I made some comments. All this is there. And now finally, and it's something that we haven't had in the past, we can now finally search all our board's content. Okay, so if I search for, I don't know, let's search for ClickUp. Now I see, okay, that's the map that we just had. Magic Slides course. Boom. These are the Magic Slides preparations for our course ClickUp Like a Pro. There we go, see? And this is where I worked with Paco together on Miro to establish these Magic Slides. And now you see, this is concept work. That's not a single source of truth. That's not a business knowledge management system. It's an intermediate tool to wrap your head around things, and then they end up in a final destination elsewhere. And when we go now into, here, okay, there you see then the result. Here's our, where is it? So many things that we offer in the meantime. ClickUp Like a Pro course. There we go. If you open up any of our lessons, all our lessons have individual Magic Slides. And now you see automations on ClickUp. And if you go back to the map, I'm pretty sure that we will see the concept of this somewhere as well. Automations in ClickUp. Look at this. See, this was the concept work that Paco has done and sending it to our designer, and the designer ended up with making this Magic Slide that you guys now can download as a PDF as well and like that. And that's what in all our courses, and now you can imagine how much work we've done inside Miro creating all these. In fact, we have over 100 Magic Slides available inside the membership for ICOR Journey members in order to make it easier for you to understand all these concepts and workflows. Over 100. And all of them were designed, the concept was done on Miro. Just to get an idea what we are talking here about. And let's go back here beyond folders and boom, I'm back in context. So let's bring in Miro and let's think about where do we place this on this map. And I can tell you, we don't place this on the map at all. Because this is what we call utility apps. It's neither a core app, it's nor a satellite app, it is a utility app. As I mentioned, that's why I showed you all this in Miro. It's an intermediate step to have a different tool that helps me to think better and come to a conclusion. But the final product out of this goes into a different tool. So the concepts that you saw there went then in our single source of truth for business, project and knowledge management, ClickUp, okay, where the designer got then this concept work and they created the design out of this. So Miro was no longer needed, even that we still have access to it. And we might have even a link back to this map, but it is not an essential tool. So always ask yourself the question, if this tool disappears tomorrow, what would be the impact on my productivity system and my daily work and my knowledge base? These are the questions to ask. And if Miro disappears, a lot of nostalgia will disappear. But in the end, I can keep working in Vimskull or I don't know, even what is it, Free Flow. On Apple, is it Free Flow? Things like that. But so far, when it comes to all the features and the usability and accessibility on the browser and things like that, you see I'm dragging, dropping in here. If you watch the Miro course inside the membership, there I show you even how I built up the YouTube channel and things like that I bring in even full videos. So very robust system. And they have to be because a lot of big companies are using them. So Miro is a utility app, and usually when you have your ICOR framework template that you download and the template is there, the tutorial is there, then you have also a section that says utility apps. That's what we have here. It's on the outside. Again, if we go back here and tools we use, there you see there's no Miro here. However, if you go down here, you see all the utility apps that we use. See, Arc, also utility app. I would really suffer if Arc disappears and I have to go back to Chrome. And I know many people don't understand why would you go. It's just a browser. I can make a whole video just talking about how much more efficient I am using Arc versus any other browser. But this being said, I still have access to all the tools. I'm just using this as a hub to quickly access all the tools. So see on top, there's ClickUp. Todoist we're talking about, I accessed Superhuman, so it's my productivity hub. But for example, in case for Paco, he loves to use the tools locally. He downloads all the tools and uses then the native apps, whereas I like to just switch tabs on the browser. And that's why it's also great to have tools that are accessible on the web. Okay, that was that for Miro. Now let's move on to the PKM area, personal knowledge management. And here we are using 3 tools that we will show here and that you see on the ICOR framework that we show on the website. While in fact, we even use a lot more tools. I don't even know how many. Paco using other tools than I use. But the tools we have here, the 3 that I will show you, are the tools that Paco and I use commonly together. And that's why we have them here. Also, adding all the tools that we are using for personal knowledge management would make things too complex. There's no point showing you all this. And there are also tools for personal life. So talking about journaling tools, for example, right? So I'm using Day One since 2015, and I cannot move on from Day One. You use it for a specific use case only. Again, nothing for this video, but I could talk in another video about this if it's interesting to you. And I used also Stoic, but we moved on to myICOR now, and many things that are not listed here. But what are the 3 tools that are so important that we consider are interesting for a broader audience? It's Hepta, it is Reader, and it is Tana. And why you shouldn't use all 3, we will come to this in a moment. There we go. Let's make them smaller. And now by placing them here, we indicate on our framework that these are our personal knowledge management tools. So just by looking at this framework now, I know immediately, okay, that's what I use for personal knowledge management. But it's confusing because by just saying I'm using 3 tools for personal knowledge management, it would indicate that I'm doing something that many people do, actually scattering information into different tools, duplicating information in different tools. And this is something that kills your productivity because the moment you no longer know where you placed information, it kills also the easy way to retrieve information later on. That's why it needs to be crystal clear what information type goes into what tool. And that's why we say, if you want to start with something, if you don't have anything, maybe you have Obsidian there and you love Obsidian, then put Obsidian there. But we have many people joining, they have no idea and they need to start with something. And that's where we always recommend Hepta because the learning curve is flat or not steep at all. And then double down on Hepta because it has it all. And we will look into in my Hepta setup in a moment to show you how I use it and where I move actually to other tool. But here we go. In our opinion, we need at least these 3 tools in order to stay sane with the information overload that we get on a daily basis. And again, if you're a student or knowledge worker and you have a calm life and you love what you do every day and you have all the time to manage your personal knowledge management and update it and extend it, happy you. But we have busy professionals with us who don't have the time. And that's where everything needs to happen at the speed of thought. And therefore, it needs to be crystal clear what you do with these tools. And the reason why so many people go back to paper is because it's not clear. It's so much easier. The capturing process, you have a piece of paper, a post-it to write things down, then to open a tool like Hepta, Notion, Obsidian, and then first think about it, where to place that information that you just received. Okay. So let's say you're working on the floor and somebody tells you something that you need to keep in mind. What is easier, to write it quickly down on a piece of paper in your paper notebook, or to open the tool on a clunky mobile version of the tool and then try to, one moment, and then you look stupid because you're looking in your phone typing and things like that. These are all reasons why people go back to the paper, and it makes all the sense. But there are ways to quickly capture things even with the tools, and that's why we also have Tana. In fact, we first started using Tana and then moved on to Hepta. I think Paco and I shared our story already when we talked about that we used Obsidian for more than 1.5 years and tried to make this work. Then we moved on to MEM, and then from MEM, after they killed all the features they had there, we moved on to Tana, and Tana became our essential tool here, and now we stick there. But we consider this our shallow thinking tool, and it has some capabilities where you can do deep thinking. And by the way, again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all in our ICOR journey courses, right? Because here in the PCAM Like a Pro course, we talk about shallow versus deep thinking, and that's important. Also context switching and why inboxes are so important. And here you have different workflows and so on. But this being said, this is why we need these 2 tools. Deep thinking is Hepta and shallow thinking in Tana, you can do a lot, and showing the tools in a moment. The Readwise Reader Read Later app, that's made by Readwise, and I also made a video about the difference between Readwise and the Reader app, right? This is our shallow thinking system. That's our FOMO tool to avoid fear of missing out. So if something you come across, at least I have some place where I can store it. But what all these 3 tools have in common is the capturing beast workflow, because this is the capturing bees, and let's quickly talk about this and all the details, obviously, again, in the ICOR journey courses, when you learn ICOR methodology, and that's just one part of it. And the capturing beast is just telling you to implement this structure in any PKM tools that you're using in order to always know where to store information quickly, but also retrieve it later as quickly. And we differentiate in ICOR between current projects, key elements, and topics. And I know there are other methodologies out there having also buckets and things like that, but they are usually very vague, where it's not so clear where to place it. And these here should be very clear for you to understand, because topics is really everything that you're interested in. So let's say you're interested in a new tool, as we saw on the YouTube comments, right? Yeah, the name of the new tool goes into the topics layer here, and there might be thousands of topics in there. Maybe paperless movement is one of the topics. You don't care so much, but you came across and it sparked a thought and add it as a topic there. And then out of these thousands of topics that you have in there, consider just 3 as the things that you are more interested in, and just keep this in mind, these 3 topics. And you can do this obviously yourself, highlighting them or putting them on top and things like that. It is just an indicator what you're prioritizing in life. The thing is, you cannot do everything, and everything is so tempting the moment you go to YouTube or elsewhere on social media. So many things spark a thought, an idea, business ideas, whatever, and you want to save this somewhere, but you don't know where. But when you think about it, really, if you would have the time to think about it because you already scrolled further, right? Then you might realize it's actually not so important to my life right now. It sparked an idea, yeah, maybe a thought, maybe something about self-improvement, things like that, but it's not relevant. 1 week later, if you would look up the same thing, it would be irrelevant. So that's where you have the topics, so you can at least store it somewhere, because maybe you come across the same topic over and over again, and you find more stuff about the topic, and it becomes more and more interesting, so it increases in importance to you, in priority, and therefore you see a level of prioritization. By focusing on 3 topics only, it already helps you to prioritize out of these 1,000 things what you focus on when you're watching and consuming stuff. So if you receive information when you're watching things, you say, that's not relevant right now to my topics that I'm. But if there is really something that you just want to save, at least you can store it here. So what are key elements then in comparison? The key elements are, and you will see this when I show you our My Life inside Hepta base, where we have exactly the structure. These are really the life essential stuff, like health, your business, family, finances, things like that goes in here. And this is really crucial to your life. And this is already a great separation between something that interests you and could be a hobby and something that is really essential to you. Okay. So for example, if you start a new business, and this was a topic in the beginning where I said, let's make a side hustle, and you start some researching and you just had a topic side hustle, and this becomes a thing and you actually launch. In fact, the paperless movement was exactly this way. Then it becomes a key element, because it becomes essential to you. You will earn money with this. You might quit your job and move on to your other side hustle and things like that. So you have to have another level of prioritization. So you might ask, what is the current projects now? Shouldn't this be a current project? Yeah, it could be. You could move this topic to make it a project and say business ideas. Okay, there could be a collection of business ideas. If you have no idea what you want to do, things like that, then you could start with a project. The moment you add something to projects, it needs to be planned out. It needs to become an essential part on your schedule per week. So you could say, every day I will invest 30 minutes researching about business ideas. And now you say, only 30 minutes? That's the problem. You are busy. If you are one of our followers and members of the paperless movement, then you're probably a busy professional. And you need to free up time to do other things or to take on new opportunities. And this is only possible if you make conscious decision about how you approach new things. And this is one way to approach it. By freeing up or using 30 minutes a day for a project that is not related to your current work, you will achieve a lot more on the long term than binge watching a bunch of videos about business ideas for 4 hours during your workday and not getting anything else done, and then feeling miserable that you haven't achieved anything, and then you're getting in a downward spiral where you think about, I have to build this business but I have no time, and you losing clients on your other business, or you are losing your job, even whatever comes out of this. Okay, so that's why routines every day, again, something that you learn in the task management like a pro course. Routines every day will ensure that you will do your 30 minutes per day on this project and move forward until you made the business idea. And then you have the business idea. And then how to launch a business and things like that. These can be your projects. But here we are in the PKM area, your personal knowledge management space. And that's key. Nobody else can see this. And that's why we differentiate on our ICOR framework, here between personal knowledge management and business knowledge management. Because this is nobody should care. I'm sharing now my personal knowledge management with you guys, but usually nobody gets this to see. And you want to be messy there. Nobody should care about what you think. It's about wrapping your head around about something. It's about expanding your knowledge about something, about being honest with yourself. And that's how you leverage these tools. And then here you can, if you hate your job, I want to make a side hustle. Boom, it goes into this. And then the idea grows and then you end up quitting your job and run paperless movement at full time. That's exactly this. Let's go into the tool to make it easier to understand. And we do this here. Again, I'm opening up this and there we go. Here we are in Hepta base now, the deep thinking tool. And for those who don't know Hepta base, we have a beginner course for free inside the membership, but also we have a Hepta base like a pro course where we apply the ICOR principles and the things that I show you here now with the My Life concept, where we dive a lot deeper into this. But for those who don't know Hepta base, very quickly, Hepta base works based on cards. So you have nodes that are just called cards, and then you have whiteboards. And these are whiteboards. Okay, so here I'm on the map and here I could create a new whiteboard and I can go into the whiteboard. I double click and I can create a note card and I can open up this note and now I can take notes inside this card. But the amazing thing is, see how I switch focus. See, I can distraction free. Can even hide this and boom, I can now easily write that as even basic markdown functionalities, not markdown also, but outline functionalities that I can do here, and I can collapse this. So things like that. But when I'm on this node and I show the info, it shows me already, oh, this is on my whiteboard. I click there, it goes to the whiteboard that I just created and it shows the node here. And you see it's updated. I can collapse this. And maybe I have another node, maybe another business idea, if you stay in this context. Idea 2, okay? And I say somehow they are connected. So I can use this arrow sign or I use command 2 and I just connect them together. And you see this similar to Miro, but it goes so far beyond now because now I'm in my PKM system and it's a text-based program. While Miro is just objects that I throw in there. Yes, there are capabilities where I can also add nodes and things like that. But the cross connection of this is not given in Miro and it's a much more team-focused tool than Hepta base, which is a lot more personal knowledge management phase tool. And now you see I connected this visually, but if I open up this node 2 and I go to the info, I see now, oh, this is actually connected to node and even shows me the direction how it's connected to. So node is connecting to node 2 and I can just click the button here. Boom, it goes to the whiteboard. It shows me the connection between the two nodes. Now tell me, isn't this amazing? And yeah, you can tell me now about Obsidian and canvases and things like that. If you need this visual tool, there's no better tool out there. Full stop. The thing is, Scrintl is there as well, but all of them lack then other features. Let's go here. I explained you the principles here with the whiteboard and I just want to delete this. So I'm not bringing up my actual live version. And if I open this up now, see, these are 3 whiteboards that I added here. And these are simply just images that I generated with AI, somehow representing the different areas, but I think I removed them again, somehow distracting. But what do you see here? The topics, the key elements, and the projects. If I go to key elements, boom, now you see my health, better me, self-improvement, Paco, my business partner, my happiness, my roles, my business, finances, plan B. And this is all private stuff. I'm not going too much into this, but these are the concepts. So I perfectly know when I need to look up anything about my roles, when I go here, being myself, being a son, being a friend, things like that, being a business partner, or finances, boom. See, it's messy. I'm throwing in here PDF files, contracts, making sense of the different things. Am I really covered with everything? Paperless movement here, a bunch of other whiteboards. I'm focusing on the marketing part. Boom. Here's a newsletter funnel that I was working on. Here's the quiz funnel that we had in place, which is no longer active. But here is the thing where I laid it out. Okay. And when I see here, these are all cards. So when I click here with option and left click, I get here the card opened on the side and I can keep navigating. I can open the next one. And now I have the cards here on the side. Isn't this amazing? And here's the newsletter that I was sending back then. So you see the full context is there, but visually representing it as well. And I think This is just unbeatable. And again, I'm not showing too many things here because obviously that's personal knowledge management. But this is how this works. And the moment I see something appearing that is relevant to any of these things, I know immediately where to go to. For topics, there are not many in there. So I'm into woodworking, for example, but also game development. I love gaming as well, but I love understanding how games work and programming them. And that's where I always tried to become a developer as well, not as a job, just as a hobby, because it helps so much automating spend. Well, if you look at the back end of product of the paperless movement, how many automations we have running. But again, it would overload our busy professionals telling all the fancy stuff that we can do and cooking skills, many things. So how does this look in Tana? Let's go to Tana, the shallow thinking part. Oh, here we end up in the inbox, and I don't have anything in the inbox yet. However, if on mobile for a long time, there was only the Tana capture application. So you were only able to capture stuff, but not to access the information. Finally, we got now access to the whole Tana database that I'm building up. You can access now on mobile. They finally launched it. But here we go. I will use Tana capture to show you. I use the voice memo, and I will just say some words into the voice memo. So maybe I'm meeting somebody on the floor and they are telling me something, and I just want to keep track of this so I can calmly, when I get back to my desk, process whatever they ask me to do, and I can then calmly move this information into the relevant application. Okay, and that's it. And now I'm sending it, and it's syncing. See, it's already appeared. That's how fast this is. It's already transcribing. And now look at this. It disappeared. Why did it disappear now? It was here. Well, they changed things because now it moves directly to the today, and that's the journal, okay? So you can go through the different days and take notes about different things. And now they decided that whenever you send something to Tana inbox, the voice, it moves directly to the place where it was recorded. But here you see, you get the whole audio recording, but it also, whatever I was saying, it brought in here as well. So you see, and I will just say some words into the voice memo. So maybe I'm meeting somebody on the floor and they are telling me something. It is exactly what I was saying, right? So now imagine, you don't have to think about how to write things down. Now think about, if you would take a piece of paper to try to write up what this person is telling you, is it more efficient than just listening to the person, being sure it's getting recorded, obviously with the other person knowing, and then calmly go back to the desk, read through it and take out the things that really matter and move on to the next two? In my opinion, that's much more efficient. Also, so many thoughts that come to my mind when I'm walking with the dog. This is the way I capture my thoughts, because typing it down to me on the mobile, and I know Paco is the opposite. He loves typing and writing and he hates talking into the devices. But that's where we have options for different people. Okay, but this is now the capturing. So what about this thing that we see here? That's a journal, and we're in a today page now. And now let's say we meet Jeremy Serka from the comments in YouTube, okay? And I want to make a note about this. I say Jeremy Serka, and he's not in my CRM yet. So I will just hit create. He got created now as a node. I could open up this node with a D, and now I can take notes about him. I can go here and say, okay, let's use actually everything that he was saying. I can bring in him as maybe his K, and I can add all this text now here. However, that's how I would do it. I would keep writing. I created Serka. I go back, I hit hashtag. I write down CRM because I already have a super tag, as they call it. Now he's in my CRM. I can hold down command and down. Boom. Now I have all the details here. I can add his email. I can even use AI here to fill out these fields, as you can see. I assume he's in, I don't know, maybe US, maybe you let us know. Doesn't matter. Right now I'm using a random thing that I think. LinkedIn, whatever I consider that a CRM should have. And for sensitive data, I don't want to open this up, but let's add another hashtag to him, CRM2. See, that didn't exist, and by just writing it down, it automatically creates it. So I click here, and now he is in my database CRM2, and now I can add a field. I can say here contact phone, I can say contact email, things like that, and that's how I build up a CRM. And the next time I come across a new person, maybe Jeremy2, okay, I can again select everything, hit @, create Jeremy2, hit hashtag CRM. This time I'm using CRM2. I can hold down command arrow, boom, I can add his phone, his email. I can start taking notes about him. And why do I do this here? Because I might want to keep writing here as well. So I close this and I just keep writing. And then I bring this in. And like this, okay? And then I can close this and then keep writing. And that's my whole day. That's the journal here, okay? So the moment I need to look up something, I already have the context of date. And I can go back to the date where I had the live stream and I want to look up this guy who was there in the comments. I don't know even his name. But by going there where this live stream was, I know, yeah, it was him, and I can go here. In his case, Jeremy 2, I click there. Here's the context about what I have written about him. And here are the fields. And if I go here, boom, now we have both people in the CRM. And that's where we think this is capturing information at the speed of thought, because as capturing and organizing information while capturing it. That's what I want to say. Because you see, I can now quickly say, this is a new person, and I keep writing, right? I create new content on the go. And yes, you can do all these things in Obsidian and so on, but it doesn't allow you to build these databases at this speed, okay? So going back to Hepta base, and that's why we keep saying, no need to use Tana. You can do this in Hepta base. It is not as fast, but you can do it. And that's the thing. Maybe you should start slow, because otherwise you cannot appreciate tools like Tana. It's the same for apply the tool agnostic workflows and concepts in your Gmail to get to inbox 0. Then you will start appreciating tools like Superhuman, because you get even more out of it. But by applying what we show in Hepta alone, for most people you get already so much more efficient that you probably don't even need tools like Tana. But Parker and I, we are always on the edge of the productivity tools, and we always try to make the best, the last efficiency improvement. And it's always called continuous improvement. That's why it's an ICOR journey. There's no endpoint, there's no destination. It is always an ongoing journey, because we can never step to improve things. And here it's the same thing. Let's say Jeremy, there we go, and I create him, and I can option click to bring him on the sidebar in this case, and I can take notes about him while I'm here in the journal. See, there's a journal as well with the different dates. You can open this up by the dot that there is a node, and as you can see, there are no dots, there are no other nodes on any other place. Why? Because I defined perfectly that Tana is a tool that I use for daily note taking, business relevant note taking, like meeting notes, for example. They go into Tana, and that makes it so easy then for me. Whenever I have a meeting, where do I write this down? I go to Tana. Whenever I need to look up something from a meeting, where do I look it up? In Tana. If I would start switching from Hepta base to Tana, even to Apple Notes and Evernote or whatever, and a piece of paper, then good luck with finding the relevant information. And even finding is one thing, but making connections between different types of information is another. And here is Circa, and now I can actually add here is tags, and I can add a tag, and I can say CRM2. Let's make the same thing. See, it says create. Boom. Now I have CRM2. I can click here. Boom, database. I can say, what should I add to the database? Phone. I want to add email. And boom, I have the same principle. Now I can have another person that I might talk to, and let's go to him. I can open him up in the sidebar again. Many ways. I can also click there and open him up like this. I can go full screen and think like this. I could add him to a whiteboard if I like, even here, or Command M, and I can say, where do you want to add this? I create a new whiteboard. It creates a whiteboard. Boom, now Jeremy 2 is there. I can open up the sidebar and bring in the other Jeremy and the two notes that we created before. See, it grays out because it shows me it's already on the whiteboard. Now I can have these people in there and together with notes. Now I can start connecting these notes together, and this is leveraging what I showed you in the beginning, because now everything is cross-connected. And in this Jeremy, we add now also the CRM too. And whenever we go to the CRM, we have a database of the people. When I open a person, I see, oh, this person actually is on the whiteboard, and it's connected to Note and Jeremy 2. Who is actually Jeremy 2? I click on Jeremy. I go to Jeremy 2. I want to see the connection. I click here, and boom, there's the connection between the different people. And you can make up your thoughts now how you would use this in your business, and how you leverage this with your knowledge base. What we see a lot is especially lawyers when they think about different cases, or also PhD students. So we had an inner circle member doing this, and I was a PhD student once as well. So we have the demo space here, and there I usually show one more feature. So again, this is the demo space, and you see the concept. But if we go, I think here's the mess here. So here I brought in my PhD thesis. So the thing is, this is an example of reading a long, complicated thesis in this case, or document or whatever. And what you can do in Hepta base, you can have open the PDF on the side, and then you can select whatever you find relevant, highlight it, and then drag and drop this highlight in. And then you have the same thing. If if you keep reading, maybe different PDF, right? And then you have a different, then you bring this in as well. And then you do the same thing, you connect them together and you close this, you forget about the PDF and you end up just with this. And 2 months later, you come back to your whiteboard and you think, that's interesting, but where the heck did I write this down? And that's the difference from writing something out of a book, doing manual paper research, and using something like Hepta base, because here, with the click of a button on this locate highlight, will open up this PDF and will scroll to the position where you highlighted this. And now tell me, isn't this amazing? And I know there was already back in 2018 or 2019, Margin Note that started doing this as well on the iPad, but now you see how comprehensive this is. That's just one of many features how to leverage Hepta base and how powerful it is. At the same time, not overcomplicating things. It's still easily to access and to learn of this without getting distracted by all the features, but the features are there. And now again, you can go ahead and make another note, and then you can connect this note with this highlight. And if you go into the note, you will see here, there's the highlight it's connected to. See, the whole highlight, I can click there, I can click there, it goes to the whiteboard, but it also tells me that it's living on this white click. Boom, there's the connection. Well, if this isn't amazing. All right, so Reader, again, I won't go too much into Reader today because Reader is really just the tool where we throw in stuff whenever we come across something. It makes it so much easier to read later, literally, because it makes it distraction free and things like that. I could do a whole video about this. You can be sure for any tools that you see here, there will be tool mastery courses or at least beginner courses. And these tool mastery courses, they go really into detail about Hepta base, for example, right? You just saw the tip of the iceberg, and these tool mastery courses will go a lot deeper, and they will be sold separately or also included inside the ICOR Journey cohort and the normal membership for paid members. This is all included. We just offer them separately in case you're just interested in one tool and you want to learn this, and that's why we offer them this way, but we always have all access solution inside the membership as well. So if you haven't already, join us for free inside the membership so you don't miss out on the next live stream when we keep talking about this. And for all of the free members who joined today, thanks so much, and I wish you all a great weekend. We catch up next week then. Have a good time.